Welcome to Watch Symposium. I'm Austin. All right, so I saw a pretty amazing and at the same time unsettling video by Paul Thorpe. Link in the description. You can check it out. The pump and dump scheme. The pump and dump scheme. Buying a bunch of Rolexes or whatever watch and cornering the market and then slowly releasing them and basically manipulating the market. Now, in the description, in the comment section of that video, people talk about a video by Roman Sharf, which I found, and I'll put a link in the description of that as well. It's a Q&A, and he relays that somebody is doing this with the Rolex turnograph, and that apparently a gentleman has, and I don't know if he's a gentleman or not, seems kind of shady, 200 turnographs stocked away. And is it going to work? Is it going to work? That's the question. And that's what I want to talk about today. Because, why am I talking about this? Well, I had thought about something that was gone. This guy's making a move behind me, and he's using real film. I didn't want to talk and ruin it. Film's expensive. Look. The reason I'm talking about this is because about 6 months ago, I thought about making a video of an idea that I had. And it happened when I was in Fukuoka. Actually, it was probably a couple of years ago, I want to say. I don't know, maybe 1 year ago, okay? And I just noticed that GMTs had shot up. And they were running for around 10 grand. And just a couple of years earlier, less than that, I paid something like, 3 grand less for my box and papers Pepsi. And I noticed that when I did that, the prices for GMTs were pretty reasonable abroad. I want to say like 5 or 6, on Chrono 24. And so I was thinking, because the prices seem to be rising in Japan first, are the dealers here doing the same thing with the GMT Master 2? Because they've got a ton of GMT Master 2s here. If you go to Shinjuku, just cases and cases of GMT Master 2s. And it's not like a person or a shop. No, I was thinking it's a bunch of shops. It's like a collective. I don't know. I mean, could it be some agreement between, a watch guild here? I don't know. And I never made that video because I thought it's kind of conspiratorial and weird, and so I never made that video. But is that what's going on with the GMT Master 2? Is that why the prices here in Japan are rising first and faster than anywhere in the world? Well, I tell you what, if you sell GMTs and you've been selling them to dealers in Japan, let me know. Because if a bunch of, and I don't think watch dealers really watch my channel, but if they do and they say, yeah, they just all go to Japan, well, that could provide a clue. Anyway, going through the ticket gate in a minute, but we're going to talk about whether the turnograph is going to be the next classic because of this dude who stocked away 200 of them. So is this going to work? Is this guy going to be able to pump and dump the turnograph and eventually make a bunch of money on his squirreled away 200 turnographs? Well, on a personal level, I hope not. I hope he gets stuck with 200 pretty damn mediocre watches, if you ask me. When somebody tries to manipulate the market, just the idea of them getting screwed pleases me. I don't know why. We could go into detail about why, but there's something unjust about it, something manipulative about it. Paul Thorpe seems to think so. Roman Scharf, not so much. But the question is, will it work? And if I had been pulled aside and said, hey, I'm going to do this deal with turnographs, you want in? I would say turnographs, no. And I'll tell you why. Because I think the turnograph is unpopular for a reason. Now, I've made videos and I've said that I'm surprised it's not more popular, okay? And in a way I am from a collector's standpoint, because it is the father of the sub, it's the father of the GMT. The GMT 6542 was based on the Turnograph 6202. Pretty much any, well, this isn't a movable bezel, so I don't know. This is sort of based, I think, on the GMT, which is based on the Turnograph. I think any informational bezel steel professional Rolex is a descendant of the Turnograph. So it makes sense that it should get more credit than it does. And I think that's what the guy is thinking who has squirreled away 200 of them. But what's the deal? Why do I avoid them? I don't avoid them, but why do I not want one? Well, I'll tell you why. Because they're lemons, all right? And everybody sort of knows it. It's clearly less cool than a sub or a GMT, or if you're asking me, an Explorer 2. And it's less cool than a Datejust because it's less iconic. It's sort of this weird mixed up child. Not quite a sub, not quite a Datejust that I think turned people off. You know, back in the 1950s, the Turnograph might have made sense. But you know, come 1953, you'd probably want to go for a sub, or 1954, you might want to go to a GMT. And so, whatever it was at that time, it became sort of less cool than pretty much everything else. It was not quite a sub, not quite a beautiful dress watch like a Datejust. And what am I trying to say? Well, I'm trying to say that I don't know if people are going to fall for it. I don't know. I think people are sheeple, yes. But there's so many better options out there. And I don't think people are going to fall for it. Plus, you know, I was checking on Rakuten today, and this guy's got a purchase. It's really going to corner the market. He's got another probably 30 here in Japan. It's a dangerous proposition to try and do this, and I don't know if it's going to work. I don't think I don't think he can sway opinion on that watch by just putting a high price on a few box and papers models, because I think people know better, and I think they want, you know, for a select few, yes, but I think most people want a Datejust or a sub. But this sort of mixture, weird Turnograph thing, I could never quite get behind it. I mean, I've always loved, as you guys know, swivelly bezels, rotatable bezels, and Datejusts. It would be perfect for me, right? It's just, I could never get around this sort of not quite this, not quite that feeling towards the Turnograph. And I personally think it may not work. I'll tell you what, and now that the cat's out of the bag, it wouldn't work with me, and I hope it won't work with you. And Roman Scharf might have pulled a rug out from under this guy. I hope so. I don't like the idea that the mark is being manipulated. I mean, if these watches rise in price organically, that's cool, but yeah, manipulation, it sort of gives me an icky feeling. Let me know. All right, guys, a couple final thoughts. All right, number one, I recognize my own bias. I don't like the Turnograph, and for that reason, perhaps I don't think it's going to happen. Perhaps I don't want it to happen. Point number two, I probably have too much faith in humanity as to what they will and won't go for. Point number 3, the reason Paul Thorpe's video was unnerving is because I remembered my thoughts about the GMT Master 2. And I remember thinking, is this happening with the GMT Master 2? And keep in mind, I just bought one. Now, I will say that I think the GMT and the Sub are very iconic pieces, and so the fact that they're going up makes sense. But there are pieces that are not as iconic. For example, the Explorer 2, or one of my favorites, the Hydronaut. And I know many people think that I was pulling that with a Hydronaut, but if you do remember, I made a video and I said that when it comes down to it, I don't think the Hydronaut is going to go that route because it just doesn't get the publicity. It's going to be forgotten about. And keep that in mind. And point number 4, the Turnograph is a Rolex. And Rolexes are going up, many of them. And the rising tide raises all the boats, as some people say. And point number 5, does it really matter? If you have a Turnograph, when this guy starts doing it, and if it works, it's good for you. And will they ever tank? I mean, very possibly, as long as the guy doesn't dump them all at one time, and I don't think he would. It could just essentially up the price permanently for a Turnograph. So let me know what you think. Take care. Thanks for watching. See you next time.